Dear Swan colleagues, I'm happy to present our talk at the 7th International Swan Symposium, and unfortunately none of us can be in the meeting room, but we are here and we are with you. We are going to talk about Eastern Berwick swan survival as related to marking technique, and we are the group of Japanese and Russian researchers who did this work together. And first of all, I want to introduce something which is not actually new, but seems to be new for the flyway ecology. It is a West Pacific flyway, and it's not surprising, but birds are flying along the Pacific coast of Asia. But when Asian nations recognize that Asian birds are doing this, the term Pacific flyway was already occupied, and you know by whom. So we had to develop some new terms for our flyways, and in the paper by Fang and co-authors and other papers related to geese, we separated the major Asian flyways on East Asian continental, which is shown in yellow for Berwick swan, and West Pacific flyways. East Asian continental is a huge area, huge breeding area of swans from Yamal Peninsula to Yana and Digirka lowland, and West Pacific flyway include birds breeding from Indigirka Delta to Kaluchin Bay. And those birds are flying to Japan. So here we are talking about swans market in Chan Delta, Chukotka. It's right in the center of West Pacific flyway breeding range, and the birds are flying to Japan and resided in Japan. Capture methods were pretty common. The following adult molting swans by motorboat and capturing by hook. And for cygnets, we use several different methods like capturing on lakes with the net and running after, you know, they are slow, and retrieving by the specially trained Labrador dog. We concentrate on cygnets over than 1 month old. The resighting of swans in Japan was a part of huge citizen science in this country, and there were over than 130 individuals or groups, organizations that reside swans in 17 provinces of Japan. And one of the co-authors, Kazuo Okayama, developed a special website to upload pictures and coordinates by citizens. Mark types or marking technique. There are birds that got only leg band. All the marks, color marks were red. And there were birds that got just neck color, also red color. And there were birds that got neck tracker, which was white for swans, and leg band. And the juvenile, all those were adult birds. And for juveniles, we use just leg bands or neck tracker and leg bands. Our marking results, we combine juveniles just because it's only 68 of them, so we don't distinguish, did not attribute survival to marking technique in juveniles. But for adult birds, we use all three groups to investigate survival rate. And we have more birds marked in 2022, but those are not used in analysis, and we are going to continue the project for 3 more years at least. So it's very preliminary what we are showing here. And our goal was to analyze adult survival as dependent on marking technique, and second goal was to analyze juvenile survival from hatch to fledge and during the first migration. And because birds were reported during the winter, so it also included part of their first winter. We especially ignore information received by tracker about lifespan, because it's not always clear if the bird is dead or if the bird lost the tracker. So we use only visual recitings for our analysis. We use the package called market in R, and juvenile survival from hatch to fledge was estimated for broods with known parents. Detection probability in winter. So you can see that it's not surprisingly that red neck collar was most detectable, and the detection probability of those birds were over than 0.4. And white neck tracker was also pretty recognizable on a bird, and 0.3 was the detection rate for those birds, and just a leg band was detected with a rate less than 0.2. And the difference between the marking technique and detection rate is significant. You can see pairwise comparison of tracker versus neck collar and leg band versus those two. And annual survival by the best fit model did not depend on a marking technique, despite of our idea that the bright red neck collar may be attractive to hunters. Oh, sorry, some dust here. But not, it was not confirmed by analysis. Adult survival rate was equal for all type of marks, and it was 0.83 with a standard error 0.06. Pretty good standard error, but not very high actually survival rate. Juvenile Berg swans. I believe it's the first study of juvenile survival for eastern Berg swans, and we managed to report mortality or the brood size only in 7 broods with known parents, and we know that survival from hatch to fledge was slightly over than 50%. And juvenile survival during the first migration and the part of the first winter was surprisingly high. It was 0.6, but the standard error is quite large. And the best fit model tells us that survival rate and detection probability are not depending on between first and the second winter. We use the second winter for detection probability. So we conclude that yet marking technique was not a factor of additional mortality in eastern Berg swan, and birds with bright red neck collar had the same survival rate as birds with leg bands and with white trackers. So please feel free to use trackers of any color. It was my insisting to use only white color of trackers on swans, but now I can tell that it's not necessary. So a period from hatch to fledge is more critical for cygnet survival than the first migration, which is quite surprising. And I want to introduce our team, our Japanese colleagues, Katsumi, Kazuo, Tetsuo, and my PhD students, Olga and Daria, who participated not only in catching of swans, but also in doing analysis. And we appreciate funding by the large Asian tracking project led by Professor Chao Lei from Chinese Academy of Science. And we appreciate help of Dr. Craig Ely providing us with color bands, and we appreciate help of our field team. Thank you very much.